You're never truly alone, and that's exactly the problem. In the next few minutes, you're going to hear something most people will never hear in their lifetime. A truth so powerful that ancient kings paid philosophers fortunes just to get a glimpse of it. It's the hidden cost of your fear of being alone, and why facing it could unlock a level of clarity, strength, and freedom that most will never reach. Your fingers reach for your phone the second it gets quiet. Your heart beats faster when no one texts you. The thought of spending a whole day with just yourself feels like punishment. What if your need to always be connected isn't freedom, but the most clever prison ever built? You've felt it before. That moment when the room gets quiet, your phone stops buzzing, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you're completely alone, and it scares you. Your heart beats faster. Your mind starts racing to fill the empty space. You grab your phone, desperate for a notification, a message, anything to pull you back into the noise of being connected. But what if that fear, that gut-level fear of being alone, is the very thing keeping you trapped? You're not scared of being alone. You're scared of what you might find out about yourself. What if your need to always be connected is actually just a clever way to avoid yourself? Look around you. We've built a whole world designed to help us escape ourselves. Social media, endless TV shows, working all the time. These aren't just distractions. They're hiding places for people running from the one person they can never truly get away from: themselves. They're not tools, they're hiding places. When was the last time you sat in complete quiet for more than 10 minutes without reaching for your phone? When did you last spend a day, just one day, completely cut off from everyone else's thoughts, opinions, and needs? The answer probably makes you uncomfortable, because deep down, you sense a truth you've been avoiding. How good your life is depends on how well you can be alone with yourself. You can't build a strong self while always surrounded by other people. But here's what no one told you. This discomfort isn't a warning to run away. It's a doorway, a gateway to the most life-changing relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. The ancient wise men called it learning to keep yourself company. Eastern teachers named it becoming friends with yourself. Modern doctors call it secure attachment to self. But they're all pointing to the same big truth. Being alone on purpose isn't isolation, it's freedom. And your fight against it might be the very thing holding you back from becoming who you were meant to be. Take a breath. Think about how uncomfortable that statement made you feel. That discomfort isn't random. It's trying to tell you something. Look at how you live now. The constant checking of your phone, the panic when your battery dies, the fear when you're left alone with your thoughts for too long. You've gotten really good at never truly being present with yourself. And it's costing you everything. You didn't build a life, you built an escape route. Your creativity breaks under the weight of constant input from others. Your choices reflect not your deepest truth, but all the noise you've taken in. Your relationship stays shallow because you bring a shallow version of yourself, one who doesn't even know who they are when no one's watching. You've become a mirror, not a source of light. Think about the last big choice you made. How much of it was based on what others thought, social pressure, or the fear of what sitting with the other option might reveal about you? How often do you say yes when your gut is screaming no? This isn't just about being more productive or having a clearer mind. This is about the slow death of your real self. When you can't be alone, you can't hear yourself. When you can't hear yourself, you become a mix of other people's wants, fears, and needs. You become the average of the 5 voices yelling loudest in your ear. Not the wisdom whispering from your core. Your soul speaks in whispers. The world shouts. Guess which one you've been listening to? Who keeps up with everyone except themselves? Who remembers everyone's birthday but forgets to celebrate their own soul? Who comforts everyone but leaves themselves alone in the dark? You do. And that betrayal, that constant leaving of yourself, creates a wound that no amount of likes or comments can heal. Being cut off from others hurts. Being cut off from yourself destroys. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you feel that tight feeling in your chest right now. That knowing that you've been running from yourself for so long, you barely remember what it's like to sit with yourself without distractions. Pause for a moment. Let that sink in. The person you've been avoiding most isn't an ex or someone who hurt you. It's you. This fear of being alone isn't new. A wise man named Pascal said long ago that all of humanity's problems come from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He knew that our desperate need to avoid ourselves creates a special kind of suffering, one that feels modern but is as old as time. We run from empty rooms. We run from quiet. What we're really running from is ourselves. But even before Pascal, ancient practices across many cultures saw being alone not as punishment, but as medicine. Native American teens went on vision quests alone in the wilderness to find their purpose. Buddhist monks spent years in silence to touch the deepest truths. Christian desert fathers went to the wilderness, believing that in quiet, one finally meets the divine. Each tradition knew what we've forgotten. Real change doesn't happen when we're comfortable. It happens in the fire of facing ourselves. The most powerful change happens not in crowds, but in silence. Think about the Greek myth of Psyche and Eros. When Psyche had to do impossible tasks to win back her love, her final challenge was to go to the underworld alone. This journey shows the ultimate facing of self, the darkness one must face without help. Only after this solo journey was she made divine. Your underworld is waiting, and no one can go there with you. This story reveals a basic truth. There is no real change without time alone, no rebirth without the darkness of the cocoon. Yet we've built a world where silence and being alone are treated as problems to fix rather than doors to walk through. We see quiet people as weird. We give medicine for quiet minds. We fill every moment with noise and wonder why we feel empty. We've mixed up having a full schedule with having a full heart. What these ancient practices understood is that being alone holds up a mirror, one that shows not just who you are, but who you've been scared to become. Take another breath. Feel the pushback that comes when you think about truly being alone with yourself. That resistance isn't weakness. It's where you need to grow. The Japanese idea of ma, the meaningful empty space, teaches that emptiness isn't nothing. It's where possibility lives. In buildings, music, and art, the power often lies not in what's added, but in what's deliberately left empty. Your life works the same way. Without deliberate empty spaces, times of true solitude, there's no room for your real self to emerge. The masterpiece of your life needs empty space to be complete. But here's where our modern problem gets tricky. We've mixed up physical alone time with true solitude. You can be alone in a cabin in the woods while still drowning in social media. You can be physically by yourself while your mind is still full of what others expect. True solitude isn't just the absence of other people. It's the presence of yourself. You can be surrounded by people and still be present with yourself. You can be alone and still be hiding. This brings us to the big question. We fear being alone because we think it will show us we're worthless. Yet it's the only way to discover our true worth. When you constantly surround yourself with noise, whether social media, TV, podcasts, or even the comfort of other people nearby, you create what doctors call the noise barrier. This wall of sound and activity keeps you from facing your deepest fears. What if I'm not enough? What if my thoughts aren't interesting? What if, when all the distractions go away, there's nothing good left of me? These questions haunt us exactly because we never let ourselves answer them. The questions you refuse to ask will control you more than any answer ever could. And behind this fear is what I call the mirror, that part of solitude that forces you to see yourself clearly without filters or distractions. The mirror doesn't care about your perfect Instagram posts. It doesn't respond to the masks you wear in different groups. It simply shows your raw truth. And that's scary. You've spent your whole life learning how to please others. You've spent almost no time learning how to face yourself. Because who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when there's no show to put on, no impression to make, no reaction to watch for? This is the question that the mirror makes you answer. Think about how we approach relationships. We say we want deep connections, yet we avoid the very thing that would make us capable of it, knowing ourselves. We bring our noise-addicted, distraction-dependent selves into intimate spaces and wonder why we feel lonely, even in relationships. You can't find in someone else what you haven't found in yourself. You deserve your own attention. Let me say that again. You deserve your own attention. Stop and feel the weight of those words. What would change if you really believed that? The quality of your relationship with yourself sets the limit for the quality of every other relationship in your life. You can't give someone else more presence than you give yourself. You can't know someone else more deeply than you know yourself. You can't love someone else more completely than you love yourself. Your ability to connect with others will never be stronger than your connection with yourself. And here's where the change begins. Being alone on purpose isn't about finding who you are. It's about creating who you become. In the quiet, when other people's opinions fade, your own voice comes out. Often softly at first, a whisper nearly drowned out by the habit of noise. But as you practice the art of keeping yourself company, that voice grows stronger. Your gut feeling gets sharper. Your creativity gets deeper. Your decisions get clearer. You deserve your own attention. This isn't selfish. It's the foundation of real giving. Because you can't give what you don't have. This is why the greatest minds throughout history, from Einstein to Thoreau, from Marie Curie to Maya Angelou, all made time to be alone. Not because they didn't like people, but because they understood that breakthrough thinking requires breaking away. New ideas don't come from always being connected. They come from the courage to disconnect. The modern thinker Martha Nussbaum suggests that our fear of being alone is actually fear of not having developed our inner life. When we haven't built up rich internal resources, imagination, reflection, self-knowledge. Being alone feels like loss rather than opportunity. You're not afraid of being alone. You're afraid of the emptiness you've let grow inside. But here's the good news. This inner world can be developed. Like any new place, it needs exploring, presence, and time. Each time you choose to be alone builds your ability to do it. Each moment of sitting with discomfort without grabbing your phone strengthens your relationship with yourself. The first tries may feel awful. Your mind will fight back. It will create urgent reasons to check your phone, to call a friend, to turn on a show. Anything to escape the strange territory of your own company. This pushback isn't failure, it's information. It shows exactly where you need to grow. Discomfort isn't damage, it's data. Let's pause. Take another breath. Notice the tension that might be rising as we go deeper into this topic. That's normal. It's the sound of growth. Let's be really honest. You've built who you are around being available. Quick to respond, always connected, always there for others, always in the loop, always plugged in. You wear your busyness like a badge of honor. Your constant connectivity has become not just a habit, but a personality trait. Who would you be without it? Your busyness isn't productivity. It's avoidance dressed as achievement. This question isn't just talk. Who would you be if you weren't defined by how you respond to others? If your value wasn't measured by your social use? If your worth wasn't decided by how quickly you answer texts or how many people want your attention? You've spent years, maybe decades, developing an identity that exists mainly in relation to others. What's left when you stand alone? The masks you wear for others hide the face you need to meet yourself. You deserve your own attention, but that means taking apart the comfortable identity you've built, the one that gets its worth from outside approval and constant connection. When was the last time you disappointed someone because you chose yourself instead? When did you last ignore a message because you were doing the sacred work of listening to your own heart? The courage to let others down might be the key to lifting yourself up. The biggest rebellion in a world of noise is silence. The most radical act in a culture of constant connection is purposeful disconnection. This isn't selfishness, it's self-protection. It's not running away, it's wisdom. Revolution doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Not now. I'm with myself." What are you afraid you'll find in the silence? What truth hides in solitude that you've been desperately avoiding with every scroll, every binge watch, every unnecessary social event? You deserve your own attention. Here's the hard truth. Your avoidance of being alone is actually a clever form of rejecting yourself. Every time you choose distraction over presence with yourself, you're saying, "I am not worth my own time. My inner life doesn't deserve exploring. My thoughts aren't interesting enough to engage with." This constant, subtle abandonment of self creates a wound deeper than any rejection from others ever could. You've mastered the art of leaving yourself before others get the chance. The philosopher Kierkegaard wrote, "The most common form of despair is not being who you are." Each moment spent running from yourself is a moment spent living as someone else. And over time, these moments add up until you're living a life designed for others' comfort rather than the expression of your truth. You've built a life others approve of. But have you built one you can stand to live in? Who are you avoiding becoming by staying constantly connected? What voice inside are you silencing with noise? What truth are you drowning with distraction? Let these questions sit with you. Don't rush to answer them. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply to let the question work on you. Go back to that moment we started with. When the room falls quiet and you're left with just yourself. Imagine facing that moment not with fear, but with respect. Not as punishment, but as opportunity. Being alone isn't the absence of connection. It's connection with the source. Because when you build the ability to be alone, truly alone with your thoughts, feelings, dreams, and fears, you build the ultimate form of freedom. No longer needing constant validation or distraction, you become self-contained, self-assured, internally anchored in a world of chaos. You don't need less noise, you need more of you. This is the transformation that waits on the other side of your resistance. This is the freedom that comes from becoming friends with yourself so completely that being alone feels like coming home rather than being left behind. When you give yourself your own attention, everything changes. Your decisions line up with your values rather than others' expectations. Your creativity flows from true inspiration rather than comparison. Your relationships deepen because you bring your whole self rather than your needy self. You stop asking others to fill holes that were never meant for them to fill. The quality of your alone time determines the quality of your time with others. The depth of your relationship with yourself sets the depth possible in every other connection. Start small. 5 minutes of sitting in quiet, a walk without headphones, a meal without your phone. These aren't punishments. They're invitations to the most important relationship of your life. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The journey within begins with a single moment of presence. I want you to make a promise to yourself right now. Drop this in the comments to seal your intention. I take back my right to be alone. This isn't just words. It's a declaration of independence from the control of constant connection. It's a promise to give yourself what you so freely give to others, your full attention. I take back my right to be alone. Say it, mean it, live it. Your freedom doesn't come from more connection. It comes from the courage to disconnect and discover who you become in the quiet. If this message hit home for you, this is just the beginning of your journey toward a real self-connection. In the coming weeks, I'll be exploring the practical ways of meaningful solitude, how to structure time alone so it feels good rather than scary, how to build a relationship with yourself that becomes your greatest strength. We'll dive into the ancient practices of talking to yourself, the brain science of insights that come in silence, and the transformative power of what I call sacred boredom, that fertile empty space where true creativity is born. Subscribe now so you don't miss these crucial next steps in building what might be your most neglected relationship, the one with yourself. Because once you master the art of keeping yourself company, you'll never again feel the desperate need for distraction that keeps so many trapped in cycles of dependency and self-abandonment. This isn't just a technique. It's a revolution in how to live. This isn't just about being okay alone. It's about becoming the kind of person who brings such richness to every room that others are drawn to your depth rather than your neediness. Your changed relationship with yourself becomes the foundation for changed relationships with everyone else. You become a well, not a bucket, a source, not a drain. In the end, we are all ultimately alone with ourselves. No one else can think your thoughts, feel your feelings, or experience your death. This basic aloneness isn't something to fear. It's the core truth that, once embraced, puts everything else in perspective. Maybe our desperate avoidance of being alone isn't just social training, but existential denial. A refusal to face the singular journey that is being human. We fill every moment with noise, not because we fear boredom, but because we fear infinity. Yet there's deep beauty in this truth. The same basic aloneness that scares us also makes us uniquely able to create ourselves. In the quiet spaces, in the moments of purposeful solitude, you aren't just discovering who you are. You're writing who you become. Your deepest fear isn't that you're alone, it's that you're empty. Solitude proves that wrong. The question isn't whether you'll be alone with yourself. The question is whether you'll be a stranger when it happens. So tonight, when the world gets quiet and you feel that familiar urge to reach for distraction, pause, breathe, stay, give yourself your own attention. Because in that sacred space between the noise, you might just meet the person you've been avoiding all along. The one who's been waiting patiently to show you who you could become. You're never truly alone, and that's exactly the point.